Hi, hello. I am Colby. I am CoDameron. I am your Boca Raton Bothan spy, and I am here with the first part of a 3-part video series where we will talk about a really successful deck that I think we're all excited about. This is Han2, Worth the Risk. Han from set 2, Data Vault. A green-red list that plays a lot of units, a lot of aggressive stuff, and really has been taking over the game in the past couple weeks. We're going to talk about the successes that we've had. So this video is going to talk about the deck lists. The second video that we're going to post is going to be a bunch of vlogs that I did during a big tournament. And then during the Planetary qualifier that was yesterday. And then the third video is going to be the finals. We're going to commentate that video and post the full video of the finals recorded where I end up winning that tournament. Surprise. Congratulations to me. I won the tournament. I've had a lot of help. I've had a lot of support, and I've put a lot of work into this list, and it really carried me, and it really did a ton of work throughout the whole weekend. I've had so much fun playing this list, and I'm so excited to show you all of the thought, all of the process, all of the cards, all of the ideas, all of the concepts, and so many lists of what you can do with Han Solo Worth the Risk. This idea came to me early April. I had a thought. I was working with Kira Mode. We'll talk about Kira Mode. I play with him all the time, back from the Keyforge days, back from the Star Wars LCG days. He's an excellent deck builder, and I say, hey, there's some potential here. I've got an idea. And we were looking at this card that we were looking at in blue, and then it was okay. And then once we got to the Data Vault list, this was before it really broke out and got really popular before the after the Django ban. This really took off. Again, this is set 4 post Django post Django ban. So we're in Jump to Lightspeed, but we don't have Django Fett tapping all of our units down, and it's actually opened up a ton of room in the metagame for other ideas, other lists, other concepts of ways to play this game. All right, is that a little better? It's all right. All right, doing it live. Okay, let's talk about some of the core concepts that we're going to go over in this video and what we're going to focus on when we build a deck with Han Solo Worth the Risk. This leader plays units. You can see on the card, his front side is the same exact thing. For a cost of 2 damage on the unit, you can play it for 1 less. A couple really interesting things about this leader: it doesn't cost in action. I was going to play that unit anyway. Right? There's my music. I was going to play that unit anyway. So this leader doesn't actually cost an action, which a lot of leaders will like action ping for Vader, or Kira cost a shield to make an action to make a shield. This leader will let you keep the tempo up by playing units within the same action phase. That is very powerful for the tempo at a high level play. Keeping initiative, we're going to talk about keeping initiative and what it means to actually play at this super high level. And man, I want this to be right. That's good enough, yeah? All right, cool. This leader is so good, but you have to play units to do it. It smooths out your cost curve, so you can play higher cost units. I can play 5s and 6s and play them at 4 or 5. I can play 3s and just not run any 2 costs, or a couple of 2 costs. And then you can play your crate dragons, your home ones, $1 early, and that makes all the difference in some of these matchups. That's the reason I run this card. You're trying to play cards early, and what do you do when you get when you play a card early? Is you get a unique stat line. There's lots of cards. Look at CoDameron. He's a 6/4 on 4. That doesn't exist in the card pool. Chan, he's a 5/2 for 3. You look at Heavy. He's sometimes swings for 7 for an investment of $3. And then you get to the top end. You start looking at Wrecker, who could be a 7/4 for 5. You look at Radis, who's an 8/4 for 6. These are things that you can do with this list that no other list can do. And that's why Han Solo is unique in the deck building process. He also makes your units a lot better than your events. Because you can play them at multiple parts in the cost curve, and they're developing your board state as you use them, you want to be finding units that advance your board state and hamper your opponent in some way. And if you can, whenever you can, we're going to be looking for units that can do the job of an event. We're going to look for units that do damage instead of playing open fire, for example. The other thing that is really important to me when I'm building a list like this is you want to build it and give it its own identity. You don't want to build a deck that's really aggressive and then say, oh, this should just be Sabine instead. You don't want to just be an aggressive list and, you know, oh, I could just be going faster with Sabine. No, why are we playing Han Solo? Even if we're aggressive, what can we do to be aggressive in Han Solo? If I wanted to play a blue list, if I wanted to play Han Solo Colossus, why is that not just better than Anakin? What is it that Han Solo is doing that other lists can't? What advantages are you getting from playing your units early that whereas Anakin is getting you pumps on smaller units? How can we leverage that to get a better overall deck? And then we're not a ramp list. Just because we're going to be talking a lot about the green version of this list, the Data Vault version of this list. Just because we're green and we're playing units and we're playing big units, we don't want to waste time with ramping. Again, we want to play units that advance our board state. So even a unit like Resupply Carrier, we're going to be not playing that card on a lot of these lists because we're not trying to get to the end game. We're trying to get every point of the game smoother and stronger. Finally, a really important concept for me when I'm deck building is nothing is sacred. If you're running a list and you've been running it for months and this is a card that you find as a crutch or a card that you think has to be in the list, I urge you to challenge that. Try taking it out of the list, see what happens. We'll see that a lot with cards in this list like Fleet Lieutenant and Sundari Peacekeeper, cards that felt like they are integral to the deck. And when you take them out, it actually runs smoother. And then we'll try that with something like Cassian Andor. And it turns out when you take out Cassian Andor, the deck doesn't run as well. So, whereas nothing is sacred, put everything to the test. Actually ask every card in your list what's it doing. An important piece of all of this, too, is I'm going to be talking a little bit about matchups. I'm going to be talking a little bit about, hey, if you're running against a Kira, don't get OB'd. Hey, if you're up against a Quinlan, what are we going to do when they're attacking our hand or killing our first turn play? I want a lot of the concepts in this video to be evergreen. I want them to be about the type of matchup. This is a type of deck where we're playing units earlier, and there might be a type of deck in the future that has a lot of these similar ideas. If we have a leader or if we have a core strategy that is about playing units earlier, I want a lot of these concepts to be similar. The cards that we're looking at now might not look the same in a year, but I think the ideas of if I have a leader that plays units, let's play units, let's look for what makes that leader unique. I want to keep that. That's the direction I want to take this video and this information, rather than about the metagame today. Okay, so let's look at a lot of deck lists. We're going to spend a little bit of time on the one that I ran, and then we're going to go a little bit through a lot of other deck lists so you can have a full idea of what you can do with this list and what other good players have done with this list. I don't think any of these other lists are wrong, and I don't think my list is right. In fact, one of the things that I haven't done yet is tune my list, and I'm going to talk about how I might do that. But I want to give everyone watching, I want to give your teammates, I want to give you ideas and inspirations of, well, I like this card better. Well, this card has been performing really well for me. Well, I wonder why you cut that card. I want to show that there's a lot of different ways to build this deck, and it should go for a lot of decks, but this is not a one list deck. So let's start with proven deck lists. These are lists that as of today, this is early May, have already won major events. And this is a very short time period, let's remember. This is really Richmond. This is a couple of PQs because we're post Django ban, still in set 4.5. We're getting spoilers for set 5 right now. We're still in Jump to Lightspeed. So let's see what has worked so far. Here's my list. This is the PQ winning deck list that you're probably looking for. If you look for me and you're looking for the deck list I ran, this is what I ran. Let's talk about it in a couple of sections. The early units here. I've got 6 turn 1 plays. I've got the 2/2 drops, Battlefield Marina Sabine Wren. I've got the 2 space units, I've got blue leader and red 5, and then I've got 2 other turn 1 plays in Cassian Andor and Echo Base Defender. Han Solo 2 is so cool. You don't have to run 2 drops. You can run 3 drops. And also Cassian Andor is sometimes a 5 drop. And sometimes Blue Leader is a 4 drop or a 5 drop. This is one of the biggest strengths of Han 2, is that when you put a card in your list, you're actually putting 2 cards in your list. And look at how smooth it is. Now I'm not drawing Crafty Smugglers in the late game. I'm not drawing something... it sucks to draw a Battlefield Marine, but you really try to limit a lot of that when you're building the list. So we've got all of these units, and another thing I want you to notice is that every unit in this list, especially the low drops, all have at least 3 health. I don't want to include any card in this list that could be played at 2 health that can't be played with Han Solo's effect. The only exception to this might be the Disabling Fangfighter, which you can play as a Mole Drifter, as a card that comes into play and immediately dies but gets its effect. But otherwise, cards like Ketsu Onyo, cards like Luke Skywalker Pilot, cards like any of the turn 1 3/2s are really rough. On that note, cards like Echo Base Defender, Blue Leader, even Sabine's Masterpiece, which is not in my list, but we'll talk about it, they're tricky. They're tough to play because your opponent can kill it with 1 damage. But if I play an Echo Base Defender and you go turn 1 a 3/3, then it's fine. I'll just kill your guy and trade my turn 1 for your turn 1 play. You have to be very wary of what you're playing into what matchup and what is important to not have as a liability. Similarly, into Tarkin Town, it's nice to have the Battlefield Marine in Sabine Wren as cards that can come down on turn 1 and not get pinged. If they use their Tarkin Town on my Cassian, that's fine. I'd love for them to use it on the Echo Base Defender or something, but the idea with that is we want to have cards that insulate us from the effects that we know are coming. If there's a free kill or a free ping, maybe we should have a leader that is good against that. Or build our list in a way that is resistant to that. My screen is freaking out right now. Everything all right? All right, we're just going to let it be. In the 4-drop slot, we have a couple of really great cards. We have Bright Hope, Cham, Heavy, Poe. These are our bread and butter. Now, what these cards do is they come down and they present unique stat lines to the board, starting on turn 2, but all the way up through into the next turn also. Bright Hope is a fat Space Sentinel, and I'm only having it as a 2 of in this list because I actually tilted the deck a little bit more aggressively. I have the third one in the side in case I'm up against some sort of wide space list. I'm talking a Vader 4 or some sort of Sabine list that is very space-based. We've got Cham, who is a 5/4. Like, stop there. 5/4 is an incredible stat line on curve and a turn early. 5/4 does beat other 3/5s in the joust, right? Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can do this and not mess up everything. Is that going to fix my screen? Please do. Is it going to work? I have no idea what my screen looks like right now. All right, I think we're back. Yeah? Maybe? Yeah, we're back. We're still chilling. All right, great. Cham is a champion. He has been core in this list. He'll fall out sometimes, but then you realize he's a 5/4 and he's great. In any ramp matchup, if your opponent plays an extra resource, this is typically resupply super laser tech, but if it's Han Solo 1, adding another resource to the board, you can play Cham and you get a free $1 while developing your board. It's so good. You can do this with Sneak Attack and other lists to do it on turn 2 when your opponent wants to resupply. But so many lists want to play resupply on 2. And if you have initiative, you can like hit their unit, trade, force them to take the first action. They have to they want to resupply. You get Cham as a 5/2 and a $1. It is a blowout of a play. This is what Han Solo is doing. It is playing units with unique aggressive stat lines earlier while getting their full value. Another important piece of this is when I say unique stat lines, I mean aggressive stat lines. Your cost is help. So you're not paying in offense. This card could have said, play a unit from your hand, it has 1 less power. Then you would have a bulkier list. That sounds like a blue sort of leader card. But no, this is a red leader. We are playing aggressively, so all of our units are tilted aggressively. Heavy is also incredible. Heavy is very easy to swap in and out with K2SO until you realize that all of Heavy's words coordinate, raid 2, and when defeated, deal damage to the board, deals with the board. And that's what we care about. All of K2SO's words being overwhelm, when defeated, and hit the hand or hit the base, those all deal with not the board. Heavy is the choice for this list because we want to play the board. We'll see other lists with K2SO in them, but I very much believe that heavy is important for this list on the ground. Notably, he holds some leaders hostage. Most leaders have 7 HP. He probably won't live, or you won't have enough of coordinate to beat up Quinlan, but let's say Anakin or Luke Skywalker, even Rey, they come down, haven't pressured your board, you might have 2 or 3 units, they just can't come down because heavy will bonk them. Granted, this list has issues with village protectors, but we'll talk about that in solutions. And CoDameron. CoDameron is a phenomenal card and is exceptionally good in Han Solo too. At his best, he is a 3-cost 4/5 in space. Oh man, very weak to waylay because the token dies and then you don't get Poe back. But it is a really powerful unit. It is one of the highest cost cards. Otherwise, you have to play AT Hauler, and that dies. Your opponent gets it. Yikes. CoDameron's very efficient, but also he is your silver bullet against control, like villain blue decks. A lot of control decks want to play 1-for-1 removal, and you can just play Poe on 4 as a 3/3 with a 2/2 in space, and now you have a 5/5 stat line separately that is insulated against Power of the Dark Side and any removal. That is how you win those matchups. He is your MVP. I'm going to skip over Felder Dragon for a second, but we can see that I ran Adelphi and CoDameron. So CoDameron is the reason to do this, is the biggest reason. Playing Poe on 4 as a 6/4, it is hard to deal with him because look at us, we're already running all these overstated units. But playing Poe on 4, he is so threatening, and if your opponent has to match with the K2SO, there's not a lot of 3 drops that other decks can run that will, or rather a 2 drop, it has to be like L3 plus Hotshot Blaster or something. It's very hard for a straight up 3 drop to deal with this Poe on curve. It'll happen. You'll get open fired. You'll get killed. You'll get taken down and Felder Dragoned. But this Poe forces an answer. And there's a strategy introduced to me by George the Hulk. There was a podcast called Baneslayers versus Muldrifters. A Muldrifter is a card that comes in and gets its full value, and then the units whatever. And a Baneslayer is a card that is hard to get value from, but when it swings, oh baby, it's gonna get it. CoDameron is that card. CoDameron is the card that if I put it down on the board, you have to answer it or you will pay. And a big theory of this deck is, part of that thing that George taught me, is that the more Baneslayers you have, the more CoDameron style cards that you have, the better they will be. Because the first one will get removed, they'll kill Heavy, then they'll kill Poe, then they'll struggle to kill the Rican, and then the home one, the Crate Dragon, they've already used a lot of their removal on it. A big part of this list is to play threat after threat after threat, and your opponent will run out of resources, and as long as you're trading up and trading positively, you will win, just on rate. We're playing 1 card a turn most of the time, and to do that. So Adelphi is another one of these cards. This is a card that actually entered the list. We'll see a lot of the development of this list and how Adelphi kind of snuck in towards the end because it really filled a role. If you look at the top half of this list, rather the low part of the curve, there's no way to kill a 4 health space unit. Particularly the ones that I'm afraid of are Blue Leader. I'm sorry, not Blue Leader. Victor Leader, the 2/4 in space that Darth Vader pilot can play, and any Falcon. Or like the Contracted Jump Master. There's like 3/4s in villain yellow too. It's rough. Even the 2/4 Contracted Jump Master is kind of bad for us. How do you kill that? I was looking for ways to kill 4 power space units earlier. I talked to multiple people and they all said you kill it with the Hammerhead. You draw cards with Mon Mothma, who's not in my list. Talk about her in a minute. And you'll kill it with the Hammerhead. And I said that's too late. Adelphi Patrol Wing is that. It is a card that you can use Bright Hope, Red 5, or Blue Leader to kill that space threat that has more health than you can handle, and develop a 4/4 body. Again, these are above rate stat lines. There's no 4, I don't think there's any 4/4 space. It's hard to get a 4/4 space unit, right? It's hard to get a 4/4 space unit for 4, or at least that's on rate. There's a couple of them. There's like, okay, that's like on rate, but it also gets to pump. And I've done plays where I've gotten a Delphi. They're not unique. You can just chain them together. You use them to kill Bright Hopes. You use them to kill, there's 6-drop space units, but another fire, like Devastator, let's say. That's a little too late. Point is, they also action cheat you. So even if you don't have the initiative, you can do the thing where you play it, you develop a unit, and you attack with heavy in the same action. Suddenly, that raid 2 is on, and you're getting your full 6 damage from heavy. The dream is you go Poe on 4, claim a Delphi on 5, and then you swing Poe to base for like 10 damage because you discard a card and do 2 to base. The Delphi has really proven its slot, and it's also a card you can get back off a home one. Look at the home one. Okay, those are the 5s. The 6s are Riken, Gorilla Attack Pod, Hammerhead, and Wrecker. There's a lot of cards in this slot that you can run. But again, we're running big threats that have immediate influence when they hit the board, but are sticky threats that you have to deal with. Riken and Hammerhead are 5/7s. They are huge stat lines. Riken invalidates a lot of... these come out, they're 6 costs, but they come out on your flip turn. And Riken will stop a lot of leaders that flip on 5. Opposing Hans, Han from set 1... Han from set 1 likes to attack you anyway, and then play let them play the Han Solo for 7. He's hard to deal with. But Quinlan, even Kira has a tricky time. Like, they have to trade into this, right? Riken forces the trade so that the Poe gets the first hit, and a lot of times you can even end on a turn where you'll have Riken and Poe, and your opponent has initiative, and then they can't stop both of them. They'll probably stop the Poe, and then Riken comes in, gives you a Sentinel, and the rest of their board is dead. A lot of Crafties, a lot of Bazines, a lot of Pike Sentinels, a lot of little units that'll just lose their value because they don't want to trade into Riken. He ends up being very, very strong, and running the Echo-based Defender and Bright Hope, he can actually grow your board. So if you go into Echo-based Defender and he somehow doesn't die, now he gets a little bit bigger. And suddenly this 4/3 that loses a trade to a 3/5 now is a 5/4, and wins a trade to a 3/5, and is a Sentinel. Huh. Sorry, Slavers. Sorry, Cassian. Sorry, maybe Boba Fett. He'll probably hit you and kill you. But Riken, very, very powerful, and every time we take him out of the list, he ends up finding his way back in because he's that stabilizing on your flip turn. Gets you to the higher end of the deck. Hammerhead is a card... I'm going to skip over the attack pod for a second. The Hammerhead has been a core of the deck, and I've been trimming it a little bit, but the idea is that we're playing this card. We're getting... If you play 1 card a turn for the whole game, you will get 3 damage on your Hammerhead. If you get Force Throwed, if you get like discarded or something, or if you play Cassian and or you play Bright Hope and pick up a card, you end up going positive. And the Hammerhead is actually a very good way to deal with certain threats that have found a way to trade into you and live with 1 or 2 health. That's really what it's for. It's for cards that are trading and living with 1 or 2 health. Also, Red 5 is for that. Red 5 and Blue Leader. Oh, I'm going to go back and talk about them. I'll talk about them real quick. Red 5, incredible card. Every time we put that in the list, it is just so much value. It is one of the cards in this list that will trade better than 1 for 1. You'll have some games where Red 5 will actually... You'll play it turn 1, and your opponent will just keep playing units that you'll end up playing bigger threats, and they'll deal with you. Red 5 will pick them all off. Little things that ambush, like Syndicate Lackeys or Boss comes in to ambush you, and then they're left with 2 health, and well, okay, Red 5 is going to pick it off. Blue Leader is also a champion. It's a turn 1 play. It's a Space Ambusher. It is the 5/5 Space Ambusher for 5, or you can pay the Han thing, and you can do a 5/3 Ambusher. So you're coming in and you're killing Tex, you're killing Sabine units, and you're living with 1 health, and you're a 5 power unit. Blue Leader is so good and versatile in this list. You can even do cool things where you home 1 for the Blue Leader, and then swing him to the ground in ambush. You can timely home 1, get Blue Leader, and then do 7+3 is kill a Devastator. It's a lot of investment, but it's a thing you can do. Blue Leader is so versatile in this list, and Red 5 gets so much value. Gorilla Attack Pod and Wrecker I saved for a little bit because they're recent additions to the list, my list, and overperformed. I'm going to be adding more of them. I'm probably going to cut a little bit of Bright Hope, but that might be wrong. We'll see. Maybe the Hammerheads can go for the Gorilla Attack Pod and the Wrecker, because I've been playing this deck super aggressively. I'm not running Mon Mothma in my list, which makes the Hammerhead a little bit worse, and means that I'm putting more power on the board, which is why I tuned the deck this way. And Gorilla Attack Pod, you need 5 hits from your 3 power units, including your leader, for it to come in ready. And then if you do that, if you can do that on curve, it comes in ready as a 6/4. And if your opponent can't deal with that, they're going from 15 to 21. And that's like in that danger zone of now you might lose to like a bad turn. Or like hit Poe. Yikes. Similarly, Wrecker. Oh no, aren't we running a top end? Don't we want to not kill our resources? Yeah, of course we don't want to. But we don't have to. He can be a 7/6 or a 7/4 for 5. One of the issues with this deck is dealing with units with 7 health. I'm talking about Luke Skywalker, Cad Bane, Enfy's Nest, a lot of leaders. There's a couple more. Even Han unit, the 6/6 that kills our guys, he gets so much value into us because we're playing all units and a lot of them are on the ground and have 6 health, especially when we damage them for him. Yikes. Wrecker gives us an out into those guys, even if we just hold him or play him regular. But we can timely him, he's a great timely target, and we can use him to kill a key threat under a Sentinel. He does 5 damage for a reason. I had a game in the PQ when I was on 5, I flipped my leader, and then I play Wrecker, and I kill a thing with the Wrecker. And it was really important that I did that, because without that play, I wouldn't have been able to get under a Sentinel. I think it was a Rican that he played. It was a mirror match. It wasn't recorded, but it was against Reflex. And suddenly, his board texture really changed, and I had this really imposing 7/4 that he had to trade his unit into. And then I was a resource down, but my units are really good, and my cost curve is flexible, so I just played them all a turn early anyway. Very, very strong card. And having the ability to timely Wrecker into a 6 health unit and get 6 damage, you play that timely from hand, you play that timely from base, that Wrecker can cost 7 or 8, and you'll still win the game on it. It's still very good. Mace Windu is another card that has been overperforming, especially into the Quinlan matchup or into other yellow matchups where all of the units are low power. Things like crafties that have lost their shield, or small droids like C-3POs, or even 3/5s. Especially, I love hitting Mace Windu into a 3/5 or a Han Solo that I've done a couple damage to. He readies up and he normally goes 2 for 1. Your opponent will often handle him, but if they don't, you're getting 5 damage to base, or you can force 5 damage to base. Between Poe, Wrecker, and Mace, you have a lot of ways to force damage into base and to Gorilla Attack Pod that you're putting out these threats that your opponent has to handle, or they'll just lose the game. And if they do, then you're ahead because they're wasting resources inefficiently, and you played your guys for cheaper anyway. And if they don't, you win the game. The top end here is Home 1 Crate Dragon. Reinforcement Walker's in the side, but it's coming out. It was in early lists, and it's too stabilizing and not putting any pressure on the board. Even if you timely it, it's just losing play. Reinforcements Walker's coming out, probably for Radis. But Home 1 and Crate Dragon. This deck is mostly heroic units, so Home 1 can come in for 7, bring back an Echo-based defender, or if you wait a little bit longer, you can play Home 1 at a discount for 9, have $2 left, and play a 5-cost unit behind it. Oh, look at that! Adelphi or Poe. Home 1 for Poe is fantastic. I was on 11 resources at one point, and I played Home 1 for Gorilla Attack Pod, and won the game, because the Gorilla Attack Pod comes in ready and did everything it needed to do. Home 1 for Adelphi Poe is really your best late game play, and again, you're not getting a ton of restore out of it. This is not a keep you alive play as much as it is a here is all of my units again play. Another play you can make with Home 1 is you can get into Avenger. You can Home 1 for 9 cost. Don't pay the discount from Han, but get CoDameron, the pilot. Put it on Home 1, and now you're a 9/10 with a X-Wing on the side. That's pretty good. If they, that's one of the plays that I've found that Home 1 can actually be kind of good in, but we have a lot of problems into like Devastator 2, Devastator Avenger. Finally, Crate Dragon. Crate Dragon is a card that could live in your sideboard, but should not. It should be in your main deck. It should be a card that if your opponent is successfully value trading for you over and over and over and over again, that means they're out of kill spells, or they have fewer of them. They can't have a million of them. Crate Dragon is such a good way to, if you are using your Data Vault to have a little bit more health, you've taken 16 damage, your opponent's, both of our boards are pretty clean, you play Crate Dragon, and even if they kill it or they answer it, they sometimes just can't, and it just wins you the game. Being able to run a deck that plays 3 Crate Dragons is phenomenal. Keep in mind that you can play it on 8 as a 10-8, which is totally fine and not a problem, unless the unit you're looking at is Cad Bane. If your opponent is playing the Cad unit, they could like capture the Crate Dragon, but then it gets damaged anyway. It's so good. Crate Dragon is a great card and deserves to be in the top end. Now, we want to have an answer to bring it out in the sideboard. I was playing Reinforcement Walker Salvage for more sideboard help, and I was playing Bright Hope Salvage for take out Crate and go a little bit lower if I found an aggro deck. I'm going to be working Salvage into this main board possibly, because it is that good as a wild card of once you know which cards you don't need in the main. The main is meant to be as flexible as possible and have all the tools for all the matchups. The Salvage is, okay, I'm going to take out the thing that I didn't need and put in more copies of my favorite vehicle. It's just Salvage. Salvage is also cool for force throw shenanigans. So they think they need the ping to kill your guy, your Echo-based defender with 1 health, and they force throw you and you discard a 0. It's great. I want to talk about the events that I included in this list. You'll see Confiscate, Timely, and Fell the Dragon. Confiscate is here because I think it's important, especially in this meta, to have Enhancement Respect. I'm on Confiscate over other options like System Shock and Fang Fighters because I think the 1 cost is really important because your leader gets you a 1 cost discount and Confiscate is that good. Timely is probably the thing that makes this deck go from good to incredible and unstoppable. I've taken multiple hands that are okay that starts with 2 Timelies, you put them face down, and then over the course of the game you can Timely a Sabine to kill a Village Protectors, Timely a Wrecker to win the game, Timely a Poe to win the game, Timely at a Delphi to strike with 2 things and win the game. Timely Intervention will win you the game. Riken, make himself a 6/8, win the game. It's also just kind of the case that while we're playing cards as low as possible, or we're flexing our curve to play cards a point lower, having Timely in the deck lets us flex our curve to play things a point higher or 2 points higher, $2 higher. It's pretty cool. Timely, Blue Leader, Cassian, all these variable cost cards. Home 1, very helpful to play it however we want to. So there's those. Bombing Run is in the deck for anything that's trying to go wide. If you're running a big tournament, you don't want to get cheesed by someone doing something rogue in the first 2 rounds. You don't want to lose to some sort of Rex, Unity of Purpose will go wide deck. You don't want to lose to Kylo Ren or Vader 4 doing something wide and Commissioner shuttling and then taking all your stuff. So I respected that possibility and put the 3 bombing runs in the side. I think it's one of the unique cards that could do that. And then Traitorous. Traitorous is a card that I came in my list towards the end of my discussion with Michael Martinez. He was playing Palpatine. And Traitorous is a way to deal with pilots like Chewbacca, even Lurking TIE Phantoms if there's that, or cards that are in my way like Sentinels, like the Village Protectors. There's a lot of cards that Traitorous can take, and it's in the sideboard because this deck's running no enhancements, just Poe. There's hardly even any experience in here, just like Riken. So your opponent will likely side out their enhancement hate, so you can bring it in. You can bring in the Traitorous, and it's a little safer. Finally, Fell the Dragon. Fell the Dragon is a card that I'm running as a 3x because one of the deck's big weaknesses is that there's no good way to kill a 6 or 7 health unit in the deck. 6 health unit, you can hit it with Poe, and you you probably trade. You don't trade an Alarm Pike, but how do you kill Han 1 leader, or even Han 2 leader with this list? There's no good 6 hits. Guerrilla Attack probably really wants to go base. Hammerhead won't get that high. Wrecker and Mace only hit for 5s. Having a card that is able to kill a Luke, an Enfys Nest, or anything in this mirror match, a Poe. It is the deck is severely lacking an answer to a card that will threaten to take over the game. And this is the answer that I chose to run. There's a lot of control decks that'll run like the Snoke, and your whole deck is units, so you can't deal with the Snoke. Fell the Dragon is just a clean answer to the Snoke. And we'll talk about, at the end of our presentation here, what issues we have to deal with, and this is kind of one of them. Another option for this slot has been choose sides. The reason I'm okay playing 6 is because I was happy to play choose sides at 7 for so long. We were giving away little units like little droids or Mothma, or even the Battlefield Marines, to get back a ready Devastator. But the problem is, if your opponent's playing like Avengers and Devastators or Cad Bane, you have nothing to trade for it. And if you have to do it first action, so you can't play a guy and then it gets dealt with, really, Fell the Dragon is just a very clean answer out of faction, out of color, just to kill the thing that we can't kill. It is the tool that this deck is missing. These colors are missing. So this is the deck. This is the deck that I ran, but I'm going to show, again, we are on the proven deck list section. So let's look at some other deck lists, and we're going to talk about some other changes that were made in these other deck lists that look a little different and how they function a little bit differently. But that's kind of the ideas of a lot of what I put into this list so far. This is John Carr's list. This is the runner-up at this Planetary qualifier. I think it's only not Altamate Springs Regional, it's a Planetary qualifier. Come on, Colby, what are you doing? But this is the list that I think is worth showing first, because it's a very different style list. It is based off of the Sabine Data Vault Lily winner, just flip the leader. Is this the same list? Is this an effective Han Solo list? Well, it's running some of the things that I don't like running. It's running a lot of 2-drops. It's running 6 full counts of 2-drops. Why would you do that in a list that you can play bigger things and you can flex a higher curve because of a Han leader? Clearly he wants to play multiple things on later turns, but I think it's a little bit awkward if you can't play Ketsu and Frisk with the discount. Apparently it worked for him. Similarly, the cross curve doesn't go all that high. He is playing the heavies and the K2s, and I know the K2s help him be more aggressive. He's playing the Adelphis, which I love to see in this sort of a list, and the Corvettes, because if you want to play them as a 5-3, a 5-2 that is Saboteur and just going to hit for 5, this is a very aggressive version of the list. It's using the Han to play more cards, it's using the Data Vault to live longer, and it doesn't really have a way to replenish cards other than like smuggling out Cassian, and you're just trying to play 1 or 2 cards a turn and kill your opponent with that. I think that's a super viable strategy. John Carr often held Timely in hand to Timely Wrecker and get that as the win. Is this not just a Sabine list? Is this better as a Sabine list? You drop the heavies and maybe the traitoresses for a cause I believe in, and you have Sabine for the reach. Is this doing Han2 things, or is this doing Sabine things? Sabine flips a turn earlier, so you have all of these low drops and you want to play 2 units with your Sabine, suddenly you're hitting a lot harder, a lot faster. I think that this is still a good list that's using a lot of the principles of Han2 Data Vault. Like, it's still running a lot of the same cards, but having a higher emphasis on the low end means that when I played Riken into him, he had no great answers. He had to trade his maces. He had to his Corvettes were in the wrong arena and couldn't deal with the ground, and I was able to amass a much more stable board state and ended up beating him in 3 games. The game that he did win, he brought in the Crate Dragons, and I go, oh man, I need my Fell the Dragon. I didn't find it, but I had the answer. I think I resourced one early on, and I didn't think he would bring in the crates, but he did. So this is based on this list, which is a very similar list, which is running a lot of those 2-drops. It's running the Rebel Assaults because your leader is a Rebel, and that lets you do that double attack more often, even though it's still kind of tricky. There's what else is there? There's no Traitorous, but he's running the Radishes as more aggressively tilted units, and this apparently was good enough to win that regional. But I love to see the Adelphis, I love to see the Poes, and the thing that Sabine has over Han is that reach in the form of For a Cause and the leader ping, but both these lists are running that Fighters for Freedom, which I actually think is okay in Han, especially if running more red units on the low end. I have a list like that in here. This is Crispy's list. It's also kind of blurry, but don't worry about it. This is Crispy's list. He took it to Richmond sectors. This is the first time that this list, the Han Data Vault, was really brought out. Crispy and I had been building this list for about a week. Me and Daniel Curamode had been working on it for about 2 weeks. Crispy saw this for about a week, tested it, and says, hold on a second, there's something here. I think it's really good. This is the first time, because I'm showing you a list that's not mine, that we're seeing the Mothma package. There's so many rebels in this list. The entire low end is rebels. Eventually, we even took out the Sundari Peacekeepers because they don't trade efficiently if they get attacked into, especially as a 1-3. They're a lot better as a 1-5, but as a 1-3, it's like, oh, I'm just going to attack into that. So they came out of the list. But the Fleet Lieutenants, the Mothmas, the Bright Hopes, all really work very well together in this list. Riken and Hammerhead are both rebels, as his home one, so you can't... It's like 99% chance of missing, of hitting. He's also running the System Shocks, which is a cool way to kill Pike Sentinel under Kira, and not respect the leaders. He also is running the Tantive 4 in the side, as well as the Chewbacca's, which is a good way to deal against space aggro lists, which I think was very relevant in his matchups, and the Chewbacca's. I think for me the list has, since this Richmond Sectors was the 28th of this month, the 28th and 29th, so this was, what, 2 weeks ago, and the list has evolved so much since here. An important piece about the Mothma package is that you can play Mothma, you can Bright Hope Mothma, pick her up and put her back down, then you can choose sides to give her away. It is a very efficient and very good version of this list, but I haven't been playing it because I want the early aggression. I think if you're paying $1 or $2 to play Mon Mothma, that is money that's not going into your stats or your board. It's not playing unique stat lines, but it is helping your Hammerhead, helping your hand to use Poe's effect, use the Hammerhead ability, get those crates, find those choose sides, and win the game on that. Another point is, I had another point. We'll find more points. This is another list I want to talk about. This is 27th place at that same tournament. This is Phil Heaver's list. I think Phil or Paul Heaver. Hold on, I have it here. He's a new friend of mine. No. It's Paul Heaver. Paul Heaver's list, where he's running a lot of the same concepts. He's running ECL. Now, when you run ECL, you have 8 less health. It means your opponent can put you in check faster, you have to pass faster, you lose faster. I think that even him, in the whole meta, has realized this and has been switching to that 33 health base to really get a little bit of extra time and use Timely. That's still ECL, it's still doing the thing. From Smuggle. This list I don't know as much about, but it's running the Sabine's Masterpiece, and it's running a lot of the same pieces. But the big change here is the ECL, because you still get the ECL Poe, the ECL Wrecker, but like all the 4s are only okay to ECL. Heavy's really good to ECL. You know, the point is that the deck overall is doing the same thing, but the time frame is a little bit different because you have less health on your base. Still did very well. So these are all of my thoughts, and I want to show where this all came from, because there were a lot of deck lists that came before the final. This is a final draft of this tournament, and I'm even going to edit it from here, but I want to show how much development has come through this list. So here's a really early one. I called it Han 120 because I didn't know what to call it. It was Han 60, it's Han2 60, so it's Han 120. And you'll see a very weird smattering of cards. You'll see the Dogfight, the Tandem, and the Timely. You'll see the Overwhelming Barrage and the Turbo Laser Salvo. This is all because we're running Stila. A lot of early versions of this list were actually after a Colossus version of this list, which I'll also show you in a later section, where we were down on cards and we wanted to play Hammerhead and we needed to recoup cards, or if the more cards you had, the better. So we played Stila, we loved Timely, Dogfight's still a really good card, and I kind of even want to fit it back in the list. And these other tactics are one-sided board wipes. Of course they're good. You can play Stila for 3, draw 1.5 cards, buffer your health with the Data Vault, and find your one-sided board wipe or your low cost. Well, you could also find Open Fire, you could also find Grenade Strike, you could also find Strike True. You could find, I think that Take Captive is a tactic. There's other removal spells at 3, but a thing that happens when you play 3-cost spells in this deck is that you're trying to play 2 cards a turn, and it's very, very rare to have a second card on the turn you need to play Open Fire. I need to play open fire on, so you play steel on 3, and on 4 I need to kill that falcon before it gets a pilot or something. Whatever it has one, it's not going to help. When you play open fire from that, you're not developing your board, and your extra dollar is like maybe going to the only Sabine in the list if you have it. It wasn't quite good enough. This was a really cool concept that Daniel has expanded on. I'll show you other lists like that, but this is kind of where we started. We're even on the resupply carrier before we realized that I don't want to play this on 5 to play this on what would be 7 and get back like a blue leader. It just didn't impose any threats to my opponent. It's kind of, why am I taking a turn off if I like all of my turns? The $6 turn is something that we are happy to skip. The $6 turn is a little bit weird, but you just play your Riken at full cost. This was even before we found Riken. But hey, we took a detour. Let's find all the ambush cards, because those are ambush cards in the list, in the colors. We found Mace, we found Cohort, we found the Escort Fighter, and we have Blue Leader. And although the Mace and the Escort Fighter and the Cohort didn't stay, that's why you have the U-Wing to get this double ambush play, or this one. Although these two didn't stay, the Mace kind of did. And there are worlds where we would go back to these two cards as ambush options. But this was kind of in response to, hey, Timely is a really good card. What if we had more? At some point, we found more rebels. We realized that the Rebellious Hammerhead was a rebel. We found the Mothma Bright Hope package. We were playing Akbar. I think Akbar is another great card in this list because it is playing a unit that doesn't affect, but it wasn't getting enough value. Really, this one power meant that even after he did his effecting, if he got a kill, you were still missing out on a lot of other stuff. We still like the Hammerhead into Turbo Laser Salvo play, but this falls out of the list shortly. There was a big debate of, well, should we have... it was really Turbo Laser Salvo and OB, and which one should it be? And then we're like, well, neither of them are actually handling something. We aren't able to win the game after we lose our board, and Turbo Laser Salvo might be blank at that point. We found Choose Sides to swap the Akbar, the Mothma, for the big threat, and suddenly we were cooking. When you drop Stela, you can start playing Choose Sides because it's not a tactic. And this was very successful. Oh. This was my list that I felt really, really good about. This is where I would start if I was really trying to build a list from scratch at this point. And I love the 3Xs. 60 cards is 20 times 3. And this has all of the hits and all the things I really wanted in it. You'll see in my current list, I'm running the Adelphis, but Anakin, the 6/6 for 5. Playing this as a 6/4 for 5 still demands a lot of respect. Poe, secret about this deck, doesn't use his on-attack effects all that often. You really want your cards for the Hammerhead. Your hand is a little bit delicate. You don't have a lot of draw power. So Poe just coming in for a 6 damage swing into base, still really, really good. But Anakin can do that and draw you a card. So there's a world where you play Anakin and Poe in the same list, and Heavy, this list should have Heavy in it, and do all of it. You have, the more they remove your Poes, the more you have 6/6s. There was a version where I think we can run 2 Anakins, and you'll be just fine to have 5 versions of what looks like Poe. I would drop the Fleet Lieutenants for the heavies in this sort of a list. But this has really a lot of those cards that I'm looking for in the list. The mid game, the 6s are still working on it, but I think this felt really good. This still feels really good. This is a great looking list. But let's try something else. Let's try going to space. Right? I was looking at Black One, and I was looking at the Resistance package with Radis. This was after Lily, where Radis did very well. You run the Adelphis, you run Black Ones, you run even the Fang Fighters instead of your Confiscates, and you run BB-8 because he's a 0. I was also very into the idea of running a 0 cost 1/2 because you can play him for free with Han Solo. He's Resistance. He triggers Radis. He can ready Poe or Radis. He can ready Black One. You can put him on Black One. He triggers Fighters for Freedom. This was really putting the deck together. This honestly, jokes aside, this deck feels great. The Luke looks great, but isn't. You'll never play him as a pilot because he's not a unit, and you're never playing him as a unit because you feel bad to play a 3/2 and you can't discount him. I think that this could be Snap, and then Snap wasn't trusting very well. He wasn't strong enough. Sabine's Tie could go in this list over the Fang Fighter if you don't want to respect other pilots. But this list has enough of a ground presence in Cham, Heavy, Poe, Wrecker, Mace, Crate Dragon, and Sabine, and then Blue Leader can swing to the ground. This is a super viable list. This is probably the list that I have the most hope in. Going forward, as you can see, I'm still trying out the Felder Dragon. Tech, we'll talk about Tech. He's not good. All your cards are way too expensive anyway. But Black One. The other Black One is kind of cool for two reasons. One, you can play a lot more cards, especially if you're running the 1-drops. And I would tune the deck to play more cards. Probably drop the Crate Dragons for it because you don't want to hold a Crate Dragon in a Black One. And like, well, I guess I got to pitch this Crate now. I'd much rather play a vehicle, pitch it, and get Salvage in there. Now I can get it back, or play Marauder to like have 6 copies of Black One and 6 copies of Poe. Suddenly, you can Marauder back all of your stuff because you're pitching it with Black One, you're pitching it with CoDameron. There's a lot of synergy here that I'm dying to explore. I think there's a very powerful version here, and I want to show you this, that you can run this, like you can run Black One, Red 5, and Sabine's Masterpiece as 3 different things that hit the ground. All of the early units are red. Flip this Luke for something else red, and the Fighters for Freedom goes hard. The Sabine's Tie goes a little bit less hard, but the Fighters for Freedom go really hard. This is a cool list. Someone try something like this. This is a great list. This one, I wanted to go faster. I wanted to try the K2SO Senatorial Corvette package with the Radis. I wanted to go Wrecker. I wanted to go faster. I wanted to go Clone Deserter to play more cards early, more power early. You can see all these ideas I had in the sideboard. You can see the ideas of the Rebel Attack Pod coming in. The MC-30 Assault Frigate. This is a 5/5 in space that hits for 6 with Overwhelm. I couldn't find any good breakpoints that a 6-power space unit really hit. But look, it's a Rebel. We're doing all the stuff. How can we go faster? The K2SO Corvette package didn't really pan out because they have to die to get their effect, and your opponent kind of chooses when that happens, and I don't want my guys to die. But they are good cards. I think they're better in Quinlan, or in a yellow version with like Ahsoka. Well, I have that in here too. This one, I was kind of consolidating a lot of those ideas, seeing what was working, and we're getting closer and closer to what is, again, I'm re-showing this list, the final list. So this is how all of these ideas were really rough. I tried a lot of different things. It grew, and it came together in this list, and it's still going to grow. I'm going to take out this Reinforcement Walker. I'm going to go a little bit harder into space. I might drop these Bright Hopes because I don't want to be playing 2-power units. It's the only 2-power unit in the list, and it doesn't feel right. It should live in the side. I want to get Salvage in the main. This Confiscate is still probably principled. I should play it. 3 Felder Dragons felt great. The Rebellious Hammerhead it felt okay. It did its job. Probably fine as a 2 of, but it could fall out. It could get sideboarded in some matchups. Like, this list feels so good. And if you want to play a list, I want you to explore this. I want you to think about all of these things, and I want you to see how every piece of this deck has a purpose. Every piece of this deck has an optimal playline, an optimal thing that it's doing, and you can do it too. The deck plays itself a little bit, but you have to be planning, you have to be understanding what threats are coming, and what is Riken going to stop it? Will you get to 15 damage? Will they kill Poe? Do you want them to kill Poe? Can you get initiative for the Adelphi? How much is this Alpha base going to stop them? What are you bringing back with Home Run? Can you go down a resource? Do you have to wait for Crate? Can you wait for the timely Wrecker or the timely Crate to win the game? Can you push hard enough to make that happen? Do you split your Poes? I split Poe more often than I pilot with Poe. But all of these things go into the thought of this deck. And it's really fun. It's really good. You put it on the table. You just feel like you're the alpha predator with this deck. You have better units. You have better effects. You are playing them faster. You are basically ramping with your leader. You feel great. I want to talk now about other players' takes on this list. I did not build this in a vacuum. I built this with Cure Mode. Daniel Trujillo, one of my best testing partners for a long time now. He's so smart. He sees the game from his own lens. He knows how to build a deck. He knows how to play a game. What a player. I built this with Crispy, who saw this list and had the guts to take it to Richmond and place 23rd with it. And since then, we have championed this deck through the Bothan Network. The Bothans are picking this up. The masses are picking this up and really seeing that this is a strong, resilient, incredible mid-range deck of this game. This is Kiramode's list. This is very similar to my Convergent Theories list. You can see he's on the dogfights, he's on the Anakins. This is an earlier version of this list because we're still heavy on the choose sides. We're still thinking about Turbo Laser Blast. We're looking at Karabast even. I haven't talked about that, but I don't need the removal spell. Do I? I don't know. But this is a deck that a version that he ran to. I think he won a 1K. He won a couple $100 off of this in Minnesota. I think it was in Minnesota. But the point is, take a look. He's on the Steela package. He's got 12. He's a monster. I don't approve of this, but he's running 4 enhancement hit in the main, but he's running so low turn 1 plays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 turn 1 plays. In this deck, in this economy, yikes. But he's got the 2 Steelas. He's got 12 hits on tactics. Also yikes. But otherwise, the core of the deck is the same. You can do this Steela thing. You can take some time to play open fire. And his theory and his assessment is that if you play the events in the removal package early, using Steela to get the card advantage, it gets you to your top end, and you get to have a heavy top end. Again, I don't know. He's running the Anakin as the 4th Poe. I'm allergic to 1X's. I can't handle it. But he's got the grenade strikes on the side and the 3rd bombing run. Tactic. Bombing run, great tactic to handle wide boards. He got me on bombing run for my list. But it is a tactic. All the removal spells and all the best events are tactics. So Steela does a lot of work in these lists. Draws you 2 cards. And I said, okay, Daniel, build me a version of this without 1X's. And this is what he came up with. He ran the shoot downs. Again, he skimped on the turn 1 plays, which I think is criminal in a 60 card list. And this is not tested. This is just kind of an idea. But look how you can tune this deck. Look at how flexible this deck is, that you can run 2 Steelas and you can find room for 12 to 15 events. I think he's running 15 in here for me. And yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 6. 15 events is 91% on Steela per hit. So you might miss 1, but you won't miss 2, is the concept. A lot of the same pieces, but you can find the room for the events if that's the thing you want to do. And there's a lot of really good ones. They're all the good ones are tactics. So not choose sides, not salvage, but a lot of the good ones. If you're interested in the Steela version, run the Steela version. It's good. He run a 101k with it. I also said, hey Daniel, what would you do if you had to fight the mirror? If I knew a lot of other Han2 lists are going to be there. He goes, oh man, you really should drop the Bright Hopes and go Resistance Blue Squadron. That'll help you. The Red 5 is so important in that matchup because everyone's damaging their units. The Resistance Blue Squadron could actually pick off some of those guys and get you in a little faster. Actually be a super relevant. At its floor, it's a 3/2 for 3, and it does a damage on play because it's itself a space unit, which means it's just a P38. Kind of. It's a bootleg P38 with resistance tags to help out Radis, which is hiding down here on the kinda side in the wish board. I like to call this the wish board. I think Felder Dragon would go in for the mirror, which is kind of what I came to, and then I realized that I did want Adelphys in the mirror. But this is an idea. Look at the little tweaks you can make. You can play the grenade strikes to kill off the guys on the ground. Is that good? I don't know. Maybe he's cooking a little too hard, but you can tweak the deck. Here's Crispy. This is what Crispy ran at the PQ, and he ran into Vader 4 yellow, terrible matchup, very scary, especially with that bombing run. He ran into Quinlan, which is an okay matchup. It's hard. You're up 8 health, but they hit your hand really hard, and those hammerheads and those Mothmas really have to carry you. I think his deck is a little bit more resilient to it, but it didn't work out for him. He was very, very close in some of those games, though. Minor choices, minor draws. But he's trying out the Karabast because with the attack pod with the Karabast, with the blue leader coming in and swinging and hitting a thing, you can actually get some pretty real Karabasts. Red 5 to pick off that thing after you Karabast to kill 3 5s. 2 damage plus 3 damage from a turn 1 play kills a 3/5. And then the scanning officers on the side. Stop Han, stop those hotshot blasters. Those can actually help those 3/5s trade up into us. Into like kill the Poe. It's a little annoying. The Radis is a card that we're really high on, that I got him really high on, and then I actually dropped from my list, and I should have kept it. The Radis is an 8/4 in space. You got to deal with it. It's never a Sentinel. Don't worry about it being a Sentinel. But man, it is a big unit, and you can timely it into something and kill a thing on the ground. It is a big hit. It is a big nuke. If you deal with it, it gets you, and if you don't deal with it, it gets you. Don't let it get no gloried. No glory will wreck you if you play Radis, or like get it stolen by Palpatine. But other than that, great card, worth investigating. It's also on 7, which is a unfilled slot in the cost curve. It's really just Mace. The 7s are a little awkward, but Radis fills the curve very nicely. Here's Juniors. Juniors a French player. He's very, very smart, and he really took to the space list that I was running. He's running the snaps. He's running the Gorilla attack pods. Pilot the Gorilla attack pod with all these things. He's going fast, fast, fast. Ping, ping. He dropped red 5 because he's a monster. He went energy conversion lab because he's a monster. But he's got the heroic sacrifice because he's a monster. I don't think he liked this. I don't think this brand out well. I think this needs red 5. Maybe over the Echo Base Defender. But the point is you can go faster with this list. You can go to space. You can run ECL if you want to get crazy with it. But look at all the aggro that's in here. And look at all of the ways that you can play these cards ahead of curve for a ton of value. I love the black one plays. Especially also with a 50 card list, getting the black one and the BB-8 and then the snap finding you the right thing is a little better. This could drop Luke. And you don't have to run as many 2s in your 50 card list. Love that. This is Nevin's list. He's a local player. He's also very, very good. He went, I think, 5-2 and missed a cut narrowly yesterday. He's on the Fighters for Freedom package. He's still on the BB-8s. I think he landed on this yesterday. Maybe not, but this is kind of close to where we were building these very close together. He's also big on the Chewbacca's. Chewbacca is a pilot, makes your ships very good and hard to bounce. And he's also just a good unit. I think being a 5/4, I get critical of 5/4 for 4 for Chewbacca because his biggest thing is that he's hard to kill with things other than damage, so why would you damage it for your opponent? But hey, he found it was testing very well. He put it in the side for those Kira matchups. Very, very good. Still dies to OB just the same, but super viable to help buff out this 5-drop slot. Like you can drop the top end and put stuff in there. This is Jeff's list. He's another Bothan. He took this to a tournament and did well with it. He's high in the MC-130s because he's running the Fleet Lieutenants. These are Rebels. You can pick them up with Mothma. You can pick them up with... you can't pick them up with Bright Hope, but you can hit him with Fleet Lieutenant. The MC-130 has Overwhelm, which might be the biggest reason to run this. It is like getting you close to the Agrilla attack pod. It is a little bit dubious as a 5/3 for 4. It really have to have an open space lane, and I don't think there's enough early space presence. Or the Bright Hope. You have to go red 5 Bright Hope Assault Frigate for this to be really solid, because then you can go into Hammerhead, Radis. Look at that! Look at that line. Red 5 Bright Hope Frigate, Hammerhead, Radis, all a turn early. Love that. That's why I think these space lists are actually kind of cool and potentially super viable. Also, War Juggernaut. War Juggernaut's a card if you're running like the Pilot Poe or just want to play more vehicles with salvage. Super viable. Tantive 4, also another great space list. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but the core of this list is kind of, we understand it. So let's recap. I talked about a lot of lists. We just looked at a lot of lists. Go screen cap them. Go make them yourself. I covered up the QR code on purpose because I want you to build them yourself and really make your choices how you think they're best for your meta, for your playstyle. But let's recap what we've learned about this sort of list. Here's the core of the deck. Here's the meat and potatoes of what we're eating. You want to have some low drops. You want to tilt it towards your 3s, but you don't mind having a couple 2s, but you don't want to be drawing them late game. The Cassian's huge. The red 5 is huge. The 4s. There's really good 4s in this list. The Cham, the Heavy Poe. They all come out. They all hit way above their pay grade. The 5s, the 6s, the 7s. Also, you play them a turn early. They feel really good. Play the Adelphis if you feel like it. Play the MC-130s, but definitely play Poe. Playing Poe for 5 or even 4 or 5 is where you want to be. And then the top end, the big guys. Suddenly you're hitting really hard. You're playing the stuff, and you're never letting off the gas. You're playing units, and then sometimes you're timelying your big guys. You got to have some vegetables. You got to understand the holes of this list. You will lose to Pilot if Han Pilot jumps on a Falcon. It's gonna get you. If Chewbacca jumps on a thing, it's gonna get you. You got to have your answers in the enhancement hate. I think it's really important. Killing Shield is actually, it's not worth your time or your card, but it's a real problem for this list. Crafties, L3s, Village Protectors, just Luke Skywalker, the leader. Really tough for this list to get through because you have to be playing the pings, and like Heavy does it in the wrong order. It's all kind of weird. Run your enhancement hate, side it out if you don't need it. I think this is very important. Find a way to deal in probably the sideboard to deal with something that goes wide and low. We're very point and click, one thing, trade 1 for 1. If your opponent's trying to go 2 cards at a time, have a way to deal with it. Have a plan in your head. And then again, this deck can't kill things with 6 or 7 health. 6, a little bit. 7, you can't do it. You need to hit it twice. Have an answer. Wrecker has a 7 on the left. Fell the Dragon kills the big thing because the thing with 5 health probably also has 5 power. The 7 health probably has 5 power. I don't think there's any 4/7s like Zori Bliss. Like, okay, give her a Hotshot Blaster, then I'll fell the Dragoner, right? And then Choose Sides is another option to take that thing. It is often you want to have a list with a couple of lower things to play the Choose Sides, the BB-8, the free droids. It's all an option. There are cards that I've kind of steered away from. Any of the 1/1 removal, especially the low ones like Daring Raid and Open Fire. They're tactics, they're good in the Stealer version, but just because it's red and you don't like that thing, you shouldn't be running this card as an answer. Even Open Fire, killing the Falcon, only works on curve, on the right turn, before the pilot comes down. So be a little wary about running these as answers in your list. Especially Daring Raid. You're not trying to hit face with it. Yeah. Karabast, maybe. You don't want to be running things like 2-cost units. Ketsu looks really good. Ketsu looks really good, especially after the Lily regional, but it's not quite right. I don't think. I could be wrong about that one. These are ones that I could be wrong about. K2SO, again, play heavy instead. Sundari, you're going to get traded into as a 1/3, and you're going to feel bad, and you're not going to realize it until it's way too late. For a Cause is Reach. I've tried versions of this list with For a Cause, but you want to be running heavy, you want to be running Cham, you want to be running Timely, and hitting those off of For a Cause will lose you a game. And it's your only version of Reach without, you could run Fighters for Freedom, but without Sabine Leader, For a Cause feels a little less strong. Finally, Profundity is a bit of a trap. You don't really need to play for this stat line in space at this time. If you want the 8 power, play Radis. And if you're playing this card to get the cards out of their hand, why aren't you playing the board? Like, go ahead, try the K2SO, what's it called? It's K2SO Corvette into Profundity package to get hand discard. Not as good, unless we're trying to run yellow. Here are some cards that I think have been mentioned. Some of them have showed up in some of the lists, some of them haven't, and I think that they all have potential. It's like, hey, if there's a meta deck that comes out, this might be a way to answer it. There's a lot of tools here, right? Dogfight and Frontline Shuttle. Hey, Frontline Shuttle, it's a 1/3 that we can play with our leader. It looks like Dogfight, but it's a unit. It can get it back with salvage. I kind of like that. Maybe Frontline Shuttle is really hot. Dogfight looks like Timely and Frontline looks like Dogfight. Maybe we just run 9 Timely interventions. Sounds kind of cool. There's a list there. 1-drop cards. They're free. Free is good. Free is very good, especially when you're trying to choose sides. Scanning Officer gets their, it handles some lists. Like, it just eats their money, it scams them. Like, you can play it as a 2/1 and eat $1 or $2. That's kind of good. Sabine's Masterpiece, very delicate, but worth playing in a heavy space list, especially with Resistance Blue Squadron. I think Resistance Blue Squadron has a really high ceiling and a reasonable floor. You don't need the 1 ping a lot of the time, but it could be the core of a really cool deck. It's P38 with different conditions. Marauder, I don't think we want to be ramping that hard, especially with running 60 cards and it's hard to like find a unit and have a unit in the discard. But there are ways to discard cards from our list. We have Poe, we have Wrecker to discard from the back row. Very good. Deserting Veteran, again, we're looking for units that do the things that events do, and this will capture any enemy non-leader ground unit. They won't get their on to play effects. They'll be tapped when they come back. You're going to lose your veteran, especially if you're playing as a 3/2 for 4. But maybe it takes the Enfys or the Han unit off the board for a turn, and that buys you what you need. Finally, in the top end, there's other top end stuff. There's Black One to draw cards. There's the Cruiser. I don't know what we're trying to hit. There's Clone. It's cute. It's fun. You can play him for 6. You can play as a turn early, and it's kind of cool. The top end stuff will have more health naturally, so the Han discount goes a long way. But I don't know what they're for and what particular matchups they're for, but you can find something. Finally, cards to avoid. I only have a couple of these that are really easy to look like and put in the deck. I had the 1-star Hawk in the list as a meme early on, but we're not looking to play cards that care about the cost of our cards. The printed cost of our cards are overstated or correctly stated, and we're trying to cheat them into play. So U-Wing Reinforcement is going to get a 3 and a 4. That's like getting a 2 and a 3 in another deck. Yikes. Rogue Squadron Skirmisher, anything that like picks up something based on the cost of a card, not as good. And then tech, your cards are already more expensive and you can't smuggle them out with the cool thing. So I don't want to be paying like 6 for a Poe pilot or like 7 for a Poe unit after playing tech. I feel like tech has to come out on like 11 resources just to get that, and then Poe, and then really, is that good enough? But tech is a lot better when you have low, like surprise strike, 2 cost cards that you want to bring out of the back row. And then ramp. I think all of the ramp that we see right now in the format, in the game, is overcosted because it's getting you more money and doesn't develop your board. That's what you're paying. You're paying to not develop the board. The only exception to this is Cham and Marauder, and the Assault Cruiser. These guys here, the Assault Cruiser, the Marauder. I am interested in getting a free guy and a free ramp conditionally. Super cool with that. But the ones that cost you your turn, not what the Han2 deck is trying to do, not what this version of the deck is trying to do. Finally, let's go over some other colors, because this started in blue. All of this started in blue. And then we've looked at yellow a little bit. So this is where I started. I'm like, oh man, the Phantom 2 is the bomb. It is a 5/1 in space with grit. And then you can put it on the Ghost later. And then you have Hera and Sabine. They're coming down. They're getting grit from Yularen and the Ghost. And this package of Hera, Sabine, Yularen, Phantom, Ghost, Kanan maybe, it was all working so well together. Also, the blue list, you get to play Luke for 6, nuts. You get to play Chewie as a 6/8 for 7, nuts. Like, nuts, very good. This list is very undertuned. Oh, you get to play Redemption a turn early. You get to give it a shield with Yularen. You get to take all the damage. You get to give it grit. All of this is working. It's firing. It's not better than other lists. It's not better than other things doing this. Maybe if I were to build this deck today, it'd be really cool. 5/1 in space is just kind of a cool stat line, but it's not viable. But there's something here. I don't know. I want to show it off because I still think it's really cool. This guy's also really cool. The Outer Rim Outlaws being a 3/1 shielded for 2, like crafty with the Greedo stat line. Love that. Yeah, all these cards here. The Warship Tree Defender is also a 4/2 for 2. So again, unique stat lines. Blue is doing that. The Colossus version, so you get 5 more health, you just draw a little bit less, but then you put more card draw on your list. You play Kuil, you play Yoda, you play this Red Squadron X-Wing, it's a 3/2 for 3, you draw a card, or you play it as a 3/2 for 2 and you don't draw a card. All this great stuff. And you're still getting to, you're basically putting in card advantage. You're putting Covert Strength. It is one of the things that Blue gets to do is he gets to play Covert Strength, which heals your guy, makes them bigger, and gets you a card because you came out of Smuggle. Very, very cool to have Smuggle in this package with Covert, Cassian, Chewbacca. This is one of the biggest advantages of this color combo. 9 is a lot to pay for Chewbacca is the problem. If this was 8, I'd be a lot more excited. This don't have the Smuggle yet? No. But we tried the hard control version where you just play all the events. You get to play the landing shuttle as a bootleg Yoda in space. You get to play Steela because these are all tactic. Vigilance is also an innate. We actually ended up dropping this from a lot of the lists. Covert Strength is a tactic. Go find Covert Strength with Steela. There's a lot of cards to be found here to make up for this Colossus and even get you to the Hammerhead. Very cool version of the list, and then it relies on Poe, Luke, Chewie, Crate. And you just kill everything along the way. This is if you're looking for a kill spell deck, if you're looking for a blue control deck, this is real. Look at all the sideboard cards. Planetary Bombardment is a tactic. Power Failure is a tactic. We like System Shock a little better now, the 1 cost, but there's a lot of cool things in here. Covert Strength. Blue gets Covert Strength. You can run it with the Force package. You can run the lightsabers. You can just do the Force thing and play Kiadi Mundi as a 5/5. You can play Kanan as a 4/3. Play Yoda as a 2/2 for 2 with Restore 2. Good card. Obi-Wan Kenobi wants to come down at 5 to protect the leader, give the leader experience. Feels really good. The Force package, really you're doing it for Force Throw. And what ends up happening is you end up with a list like this, where you're doing mostly Force stuff, but you put Kuil in, and look, you drop all the red cards. Where'd all the red cards go? I took them out for Kuil. And maybe this is a little bit overtuned, but hey, you still get the Covert Strength, and you're healing on Covert Strength. Also get the Kashyyyk Defender, which is a cool 2-drop we found. It is an 0/5 for 2. with grit, and it moves 2 damage from something else onto itself. So you can play something like Kanan, and then next turn you can play Kashyyyk Defender for 1 and put 2 of the damage on it. Now it's a 4/1. It's kind of cool. Blue, the biggest strength is you get these cards, Kashyyyk Defender, Covert Strength, and there's a couple others that are floating around that can heal your units after you play them. Even the Redemption can heal your units. Healing your units after you play them so that you're actually negating the cost of the Han and getting other advantages, the unit or the experience, when you play it. Very, very cool. Might be cool into a Tarkin Town meta where you can actually heal your guys, give them shields like the Outer Rim Outlaws. Very cool. This deck feels cool. Look at it. It's doing cool stuff. That it had a real name instead of just like descriptive stuff. Yeah, hey, listen, I thought I had some sort of Zelda reference with this. I don't remember. This is what a yellow version of this list looks like. I love it. You run nothing, only the good ones on the good events. The Surprise Strikes, the Heroic Sacrifices, the Bamboozles, the Spark of Rebellions. That's the only low cost cards you buy. You have the Syndicate Lackeys to be a 5/2 ambush if you need them. But really, the Guerrilla Soldier, 2/1 for 2. This guy didn't need his stats anyway. Bring him in a turn early. Then this guy, the Heavy Fighter. Get him a turn early. This is a ton of indirect damage. We tried like the full indirect damage version of this, but this is enough. Look at all the well-stated units. I think that this deck is super hot. It needs a little bit of tuning, maybe. Maybe you drop the Guerrilla Attack Pod for the 3rd Han. This Han is really good. And then you can even run the K2SO, do more damage to base instead of the Heavy. And then you have the Heroic Sacrifice for the K2SO. Or you can run the Corvette. You can run the discard package in this if you want. You can run the K2SO, the Corvette, because you have Ahsoka, you have Spark of Rebellion, you have the Poe. You're not drawing a lot of cards, but this is how flexible Han is. Remember, play the units that do the thing. Han Solo for this Ahsoka, nuts. Kira, not as good because you don't want to come down a turn early, be damaged. She has to stay on the board to do her thing. Point is, there's a lot to do here. There's a lot of fun stuff. I've been thinking about it. I've been doing it. And now you have all the resources. You have all of the tools. You have all the secrets. The card pool is public. I'm happy to show you guys. I'm happy to show everyone. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm excited. I'm really proud. I'm really blessed to have won. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. Thank you to the Bothans for helping me. Thank you to Reflex for supporting during the tournament. Thank you for Crispy and Daniel. Thank you for everyone whose lists that you sent me. Thank you for everyone for asking. Thank you for everyone for being a part of this. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Florida Meta. Thank you, Nevin. Thanks, everyone. I love this game. I love this community. I love making content like this. It's a little bit of work, but as you can see, I can't stop thinking about it sometimes. And sometimes when I have all of this content and I want to show everyone that this is a real list, that there's something to do here, that there's more innovation to be had, the meta is not stale, the deck isn't set, nobody knows what's best. Whatever matchups you have on the day, be ready for them, know your plan, know your deck, know your lines, and may the force be with you. Have a great day.